You've probably seen the images of riots across the UK this summer. Burned out buses, vandalized mosques, and intense police crackdowns. And like most people, you've probably had a hard time wading through the flood of online rhetoric about what really sparked it all.
Tonight, violence and vitriol on the streets of the United Kingdom.
The country is bracing itself for more scenes like this.
For more than a week, riots breaking out in city after city.
The police would take care of us, but if they don't, we would obviously be willing to take care of ourselves.
On July 29th, 3 children were fatally attacked, with several others injured at a dance class in Southport. A 17-year-old suspect was arrested, but false rumors quickly spread online, claiming the attacker was an asylum seeker and Muslim. As a result, the unrest targeted the UK's Muslim community, with mosques attacked, police officers injured, and violent protests erupting from London to Belfast. However, it was later revealed that the perpetrator was not a Muslim asylum seeker, but a British-born Christian, the son of Rwandan immigrants. Still, this raised important questions. Why was the immediate assumption that he was Muslim? And what does this assumption reveal about the broader challenges of Islamic integration in the UK? The British Empire included many Muslim-majority regions in South Asia and the Middle East. After World War II, immigration surged as Muslims from Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh sought opportunities or fled post-partition instability, helping rebuild a bombed-out Britain. Immigration increased further under the Blair government, and due to Middle Eastern wars creating refugee crises. By the 2021 census, there were 4 million Muslims in the UK, making up 6.7% of the population. So, are Muslims too culturally alien to integrate in a country that loves its pork pies and pints? Writer and journalist Douglas Murray seems to think so, arguing in his book, The Strange Death of Europe, that Europe faces a crisis due to mass immigration, and contends that Europe's tolerance is allowing the influx of people with less liberal views into a society that is guilty, jaded, and dying. He criticizes European governments for not addressing issues like radical Islam, which Murray, as a gay man, finds particularly concerning. He voices concern about issues like radical Islam, female genital mutilation, and honor killings, which have surged by 60% in 2 years in England. Likewise, famous atheist and cultural Christian Richard Dawkins also criticizes the rise of British Islam, blaming it for increasing belief in young earth creationism in schools, which he sees as eroding secular education. The number of Muslim men in prison has also nearly doubled in a decade, comprising just under 14% of the prison population. Muslim advocacy groups attribute this to bias, while figures like Tommy Robinson suggest many prisoners convert to Islam for protection from Muslim prison gangs. Albanian prisoners from a largely secular but officially Muslim country may also skew these numbers. The debate around British Muslim integration hit boiling point on July 7th, 2005 during terrorist attacks in London that targeted public transport and killed 56 people and injured hundreds more. Then 10 years later, as conflict in the Middle East raged on and the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL, emerged like a malignant tumor in the fractured territories of Syria and Iraq, the group actively sought foreign fighters, many of whom were recruited from the UK. Khalid Mahmood, MP for Perry Barr, estimated that between 2012 and 2015, around 1,500 young British Muslims were recruited by extremists in Iraq and Syria, averaging 500 per year. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Defense reported only 600 British Muslims in the armed forces, despite Muslims making up 4.3% of the population. British jihadists gained global attention, with Jihadi John infamous for the 2014 beheading of US journalist James Foley. Likewise, Shamima Begum left London at 15 to join IS in Syria, married a Dutch national, and was later detained. In 2019, she sought to return to the UK, but showed no remorse, leading then Home Secretary Sajid Javid to revoke her citizenship. What do British Muslims think? Many feel increasingly scrutinized, with negative media rhetoric fueling unease and more reports of racist incidents like headscarves being removed. Dame Louise Casey's 17-month investigation found that Muslim women were rejected from job vacancies due to their Islamic names despite being qualified, while Pakistanis and Bangladeshis struggle economically in Britain, with Pakistani and Bangladeshi women having the highest unemployment rates among UK ethnic groups, 20.5%. Their mostly Hindu Indian neighbors rank among the highest earning immigrant groups. Indian migrants, many of whom were educated professionals, began arriving in the 1950s, while early Pakistani and Bangladeshi migrants typically took manual labor jobs. A YouGov survey reflects these disparities, with Indians receiving a positive net score of +25, while Bangladeshis and Pakistanis scored -3 and -4, respectively. Indians tend to have more social integration and occupational diversity, while Pakistanis and Bangladeshis experience higher levels of segregation, limiting their integration. Immigrant communities often cluster in major cities, forming close-knit neighborhoods that slow social integration, further influenced by chain migration as family members join initial immigrants. However, a recent Ipsos survey shows that British Muslims are becoming more liberal without losing their religious commitment. Religious observance has even increased, particularly among younger Muslims, 16-29, rising from 68% to 80% between 2005 and 2009. Despite this, Muslims are increasingly integrating into British life, forming diverse friendships and supporting the legality of homosexuality. Many second-generation British Muslims are blending their faith with British culture, adapting Islamic thought to fit the UK context, sometimes even including drinking alcohol. This shift reflects a balance between tradition and modernity, seen in figures like London Mayor Sadiq Khan and former Scottish First Minister Humza Yousaf. On the political right, British Pakistani figures like Zia Yusuf, now chairman of Nigel Farage's Reform Party, and Sajid Javid also exemplify this integration. The growing political influence of British Muslims is evident, with the Muslim Vote Twitter account once claiming increasing power and readiness for a 25-year war in British politics. Gaza and Britain's military aid to Israel, with over half of British Muslims thinking Jews hold too much power over British foreign policy, according to the Henry Jackson Squeedy, have also become key issues for Muslim political engagement. While some right-wing figures like Tommy Robinson and his English Defence League remain staunchly anti-Islam, others like former BNP leader Nick Griffin have shifted their focus. Griffin now sees Zionism and Zionist-backed mass immigration as the main threats to white British Christians, even softening his stance on Islam by viewing Muslims as potential anti-Zionist allies. This evolving landscape underscores the complexity of British Muslim integration, the diversity of British Muslims themselves, and the diversity of the anti-immigrant right. So, what does the future hold? Isolated, non-integrated Muslim communities may persist in cities like Bradford, where radicalization could remain an issue. Meanwhile, in identity politics-obsessed cities like London, Muslims may embrace a stronger identity while adopting more liberal views. The British Muslim political bloc, like any other, will face its own contradictions and rivalries. What do you think? Are we heading towards deeper divides? Or could these complexities lead to greater understanding and integration? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights into today's biggest issues.